The One Thing. This book is really great. It's a really well-written, easy to understand, short, and useful look at why and how we should find and do our one thing. We won't even scratch the surface of this amazing book, but for now, let's have some fun and take a quick look at some of my favorite things. The domino effect. Be like a postage stamp, stick to one thing until you get there. Josh Billings. When one thing, the right thing, is set in motion, it can topple many things. And that's not all. In 1983, Lorne Whitehead wrote in the American Journal of Physics that he discovered that domino falls could not only topple many things, they could topple bigger things. He described how a single domino is capable of bringing down another domino that is actually 50% larger. Dominoes. A quick summary: a domino that is 50% smaller than another domino can knock it over. Gary talks about how the resultant growth in geometric is very fast. If you start with a 2-inch domino, the 10th one would be about as tall as NFL quarterback Peyton Manning. The 18th one to fall? Think about the Tower of Pisa that leans. The 23rd one to fall? You can now see the Eiffel Tower. The 31st domino is taller than Mount Everest, and the 57th would get you almost all the way to the moon. Wow, that's a lot of growth. All because a small domino did its job and knocked over a bigger one that was just 50% bigger than it. So what? We want to line up our one-thing dominoes and put all of our energy into knocking over the next one, knowing that this will give us a lot of momentum that will help us knock over bigger and bigger ones. The key is over time, Gary says. Success is built up step by step. Each thing at a time. P.S. Here's a great YouTube video of a physics professor showing the domino effect in his own way. He starts with a small domino, about the size of a tweezer, and his 13th one is 3 feet high. The force between the 12th and 13th dominoes is 2 billion times stronger than the force between the first and second dominoes. We want to do things this way. Start small. Focus. And make unbelievable power. From to-do list to success list. Multitasking doesn't save time, it wastes time. Gary Keller. Working long hours to finish a to-do list and ending the day with a full trash can and a clean desk is neither good nor a sign of success. You need a success list instead of a to-do list. This is a list that is made with the goal of achieving extraordinary results. Most to-do lists are long, but success lists are usually short. One pulls you in every direction, while the other pulls you in one direction. One is a list that isn't organized, and the other is a list of instructions. If a list isn't made with success in mind, it won't lead you there. If your list of things to do has everything on it, you're probably going everywhere but where you want to go. To-do lists versus success lists. Which have you got? You're trying to do everything, right? Gary says that if this is the case, you might want to slow down and think about what Vilfredo Pareto said. You don't forget Vilfredo, do you? The great Italian economist from the 1800s who found that wealth wasn't spread out evenly. In fact, he found that back then, 20% of the people in Italy owned 80% of the wealth. In his great book, The 80-20 Principle, Richard Koch says, the 80-20 principle says that a small number of causes, inputs, or efforts usually lead to a large number of results, outputs, or rewards. In other words, some of the things you do are much more important than others. We need to distinguish between the important few and the trivial many. So, let's go back to your list of things to do. Is it full of all the things you need to do? Or does it focus on the few most important things you need to do to succeed? Let's turn that to-do list into a list of things we've done well. In the book, Gary shows us how to deal with this. For now, let's look at how to take Vilfredo on an exciting trip. Extreme Pareto. What I'm saying is true because of Pareto, but there's a catch. He doesn't go far enough. I want you to keep going. I want you to go as far as you can with Pareto's principle. I want you to narrow it down by finding the 20%, and then I want you to narrow it down even more by finding the most important few of the most important few. The 80-20 rule is the first word on success, but it's not the last. You have to finish what Pareto began. Follow the 80-20th rule if you want to be successful, but you don't have to stop there. Keep going. In fact, you may pick 20% of the 20% of the 20% and keep going until you reach the single most crucial factor. No matter what the mission, task, or goal is. Big or small. Start with as long a list as you want, but tell yourself that you will narrow it down to the most important few and won't stop until you have the most important one. The most important one. The only thing. So, we know we need to find the 20% of our actions that are responsible for 80% of our results. Got it. Now, can you find 20% of what you already have? What about the remaining 20% of that? What happens if you keep doing that for a long time? With that one thing. We'd like to play there. Extreme Pareto. Therefore, this raises the question, what's the 20% of your work that's responsible for 80% of your results? The other 20%? The other 20%? What is your one thing? Discipline plus habit formation. The trick to success is to choose the right habit and bring just enough discipline to establish it. That's it. That's all the discipline you need. Gary Keller. Order and routine. Really, most people don't want to talk about these things. Who could be mad at them? I don't either. When we hear these words, we think of something rough and unpleasant. Even just reading the words wears you out. There is good news, though. The right kind of discipline goes a long way, and it's only at the start of a new habit that it's hard. Over time, it gets easier and easier to keep the habit you want. That's right. To keep a habit, you need much less energy and effort than to start it. If you stick with discipline long enough for it to become a habit, the trip will feel different. If you make one habit a permanent part of your life, you can get through the routine with less wear and tear on your body. Hard things become habits, and habits make hard things easier. The way Gary and Jade explain how willpower and habits work together is just brilliant. First, we need to understand that willpower is a limited resource. We can only get a certain amount in a certain amount of time, say a day. Gary says it's sort of like a cell phone. At the beginning of the day, your battery is full. Green, baby. And as the day goes on, the battery slowly dies, leaving you with a red screen at the end of the day. Same with your willpower. As you've probably noticed by now, you only have so much to spread around, and it goes quickly. Hello, less good afternoon/evening options. How to do it? We need to make good use of our limited willpower. How? We need to use it to make habits that run themselves. As Gary says so well, it takes much less effort to keep a habit than to start it. That is a huge difference. Even though it takes a lot of willpower to start a habit, it takes a lot less to keep it going. This is gold to know. Then, all we have to do is find the one behavior that will have the most positive effect on our lives and keep doing it until it becomes a habit. How much time does it take? We've all heard the 21 days thing, but Gary tells us that, on average, it's closer to 66 days. The range is between 18 and 254 days. Some aren't as hard as others. But don't just give up. Choose the one habit you want to change and go do it. What do you have? What's the one thing that, if you do it every single day, will make the biggest difference in your life? Not the top 10. The 5 things. The only thing. What's that? Let's make it official in 66 days, shall we? The focusing question. Efficiency is doing the thing right. Effectiveness is doing the right thing. Peter Drucker. Most people know the Chinese proverb, a journey of 1,000 miles must begin with a single step. They just never take the time to realize that if this is true, then taking the wrong first step could start a journey that takes them up to 2,000 miles away from where they want to be. The focusing question keeps you from making a mistake on your first step. I like that. If you start that 1,000-mile journey with the wrong first step, you might end up 2,000 miles from where you want to be. Before we continue, here in this channel we provide you with animated summaries of the best books to help you improve your life and achieve your personal goals. If you are interested, consider subscribing and liking the video.